Hi everybody! Today a juicy new episode of Beyond the Sportsbiz where I'm going to talk about the NBA League expansion. Today in the NBA we have 30 teams, 15 in the West, 15 in the East. The simple definition of an expansion is to create one or more NBA teams. Adding a team does not happen every year, it is complex. The last team created was 20 years ago, in 2004, the Charlotte Bobcats. As you probably know, the NBA is a worldwide phenomenon, thanks also to his last two commissioners, David Stern and the current boss Adam Silver, both business-savvy individuals. Plus, with more and more international players playing in the NBA and a lot of superstars in the league, the value of the National Basketball Association increased in the last couple of years. You just have to look to value of an NBA team today. Michael Jordan bought the Charlotte Hornets a couple of years ago, $275 million, and sold the team for $3 billion last year, which effectively made him a $2.25 billion profit. Wow, just wow. Same story for Mark Cuban for the Dallas Mavericks. The return on investment is sensational. Few businesses have an ROI that powerful. Plus, there are currently strong discussions, negotiation about the future TV deals, who's gonna have the rights in the US to broadcast the NBA and at what price. I will do an entire podcast on that when the deals will be done, but spoiler alert, the TV deal will likely to be 3 times higher than the current one, meaning more money for the NBA, the owners and the players. All these guarantee a bright future for the NBA. And a lot of new investors that do not have a skin in the game today would want to join the party and have a piece of the pie. All the ingredients to expand the league are here. I'm sure Adam Silver's phone is ringing because the demand for potential owners is there. Also, I don't want to be too political here, but I'm sure politics can play a small role in the expansion of the league. Maybe some politicians want their city to have an NBA franchise to help him or her in his re-election, for example. Okay, let's go back to basketball. We've seen over the years a strong interest of the NBA for playing in a location where there are no NBA teams or even overseas, either for a preseason game, a regular season game, the in-season tournament, or for the US national team. Games were played in Montreal, Vancouver, New Mexico, Abu Dhabi, London, Las Vegas, and Paris. Each of these cities are interested of having an NBA team, plus a couple of other contenders I've heard that are in the mix as well, such as Seattle, Kansas City, Dakar, Beijing, Tokyo. Oh, and by the way, I believe it will be an expansion with 2, not 1 NBA team. Much more easier to build an NBA calendar to have the same number of teams in the East and the West. So the 2 teams I see winning the lottery for an expansions are the Las Vegas and Seattle. Why? For Vegas, they've already hosted the in-season tournament this year, therefore they have the infrastructure already built. They also already have a WNBA team with the Aces, plus Team USA trained there in the summer. Speaking of the Summer League is also in Vegas. In addition, the Nevada University is around, and geographically it is easy to access for the other NBA teams. Finally, the league would like to have a face for his new team, and LeBron James and his business partners are interested to invest in Las Vegas. Having LeBron as the face of a new team is appealing for the NBA. But with the CBA, the collective bargaining agreement, he cannot be an investor while he's playing basketball. Therefore, he will have to be retired to invest in the team. He's 39 years old, so he can play for another 2 years, for example, and become an investor after that. The other team that I can see having an NBA team is Seattle. They already have an history with the NBA. Kevin Durant was drafted by the Seattle Supersonics, and I'm sure he will want to be a part of this new ownership team after his career. Seattle is a huge market in the US, top 10 highest GDP. They already have a huge sports teams with the Seahawks in the NFL and the Storm in the WNBA. The infrastructures are there to host an NBA team. Seattle is a city with a lot of huge financial players. It's the HQ of Microsoft, Boeing, Starbucks, and Amazon. Speaking of Amazon, it's maybe a coincidence, but they will have a bundle of the new TV deal. In my hypothetical scenario with Vegas and Seattle, you will have 2 new teams clearly in the Western Conference. It will not be balanced with the East. So what are the consequences? What are going to be the consequences? Well, I guess two West teams, will have to be considered in the East. Geographically speaking, maybe the New Orleans Pelicans and the Memphis Grizzlies would have to be considered in the East. We'll see. Now, how to build a roster with these two new teams? In my example, the Seattle Supersonics, and let's name them the Las Vegas Blackjack. The NBA will do what we call an NBA draft expansion. The 30 teams already in place, they will lock up 8 players in their teams. We can call them the 8 untouchables. The other player of their rosters become eligible to be selected by the Seattle Supersonics and the Las Vegas Blackjack to form their 15 players roster. So what are the consequences for the current player? Well, if you are the 9th or 10th player in the rotation of your current team, you can be selected by Seattle or Vegas. And I don't think you can really say no about that. So what are the other consequences of adding 2 teams in the NBA? On the positive side, more players, so maybe more jerseys sold, maybe more jobs created for the 2 teams. On the negative side, it will be really difficult to create a schedule that works out well for everyone. In terms of timeline, when this expansion will happen, the current priority for the NBA is the new TV deal. The TV rights represent something like 30% of the NBA revenue. After the officialization of the TV deals, the NBA will go back on the expansion subject. I think we can have an expansion for the 2026-2027 season, and my bet is on Las Vegas and Seattle. I can see a second expansion a couple of years after with Vancouver and New Mexico. It's close to the US, same time zone, so yeah, I can see that this happening. And only maybe later, an expansion outside America. It's another level of complexity when you want to expand overseas. Laws are different and the travel will be a nightmare. That's why I don't see soon an expansion outside of America. And that's it for this episode. I will be happy to have your opinion on this subject. You can follow the channel on X at Beyond the Sportsbiz. See you next Monday for a new episode. Ciao, ciao.